I
So,
definitely agree. Mhm.
yeah. So, why did you want me to come here today?
Yeah, so Miss Kamler, I just wanted to say, when I talk about mindfulness with a lot of my friends or family, they're unsure of what the meaning is. So I was just wondering, what is mindfulness in your own definition?
That's such a great question. So everyone hears this idea of mindfulness. It's a buzzword these days. And what is it? So mindfulness, the way we define it over at UCLA is it's really being here right now with our experience and opening to it just the way it is. In other words, not trying to make it different. In this moment, can I just open to what I'm feeling right now, how my body is right now, the kind of thoughts that are going on right now? Can I just kind of relax around this moment? And mindfulness is and so John Kabat-Zinn, he's most well known for bringing mindfulness into the secular community, and I'll talk a little more about that a little later. But basically, John Kabat-Zinn's definition of it would be this moment by moment awareness in a non-judgmental way. So one of the key things about mindfulness is you're not judging yourself. You're really learning to open to your experience of now. So if each of us would just stop for a moment right now and just put your feet on the ground and just notice your seat in the chair and you're sitting here, what's that experience like? What's it like for you, Ankita? Describe what it's like, this moment. What is this moment like? What does your body feel like this moment?
I try feeling everything. It's just like very calm, very peaceful. I'm able to just take a minute out of my, very um, time scheduled life and just kind of experience what it's like to be aware, to be mindful. Okay, this is how it feels like to just focus on something and relax your body.
Yeah, and for some of you, it might be like a tornado is moving through you. It might be a very disruptive, unpleasant feeling in the moment. It's not always gonna be nice just because you're mindful. You're mindful of whatever the weather tides are, whatever the currents, the weather patterns are in the moment. So, for instance, for me, I can feel my feet on the ground. I can feel a little warmth where my hands are touching. I'm aware of what I'm thinking right now, and I'm aware of a mood. And we do this moment by moment. We work to be here and not to fight with how life is in the moment. And I always tell people in my classes, we're kind of learning how to surf the waves of our life, the different tides that come along, and do it as gracefully as possible. And sometimes we'll get clobbered by a wave and we won't do it so well, and then we start again, and that's kind of what it is. And so this mindfulness is really opening to your experience and as best as we're able, and letting ourselves feel it without kind of fighting with the experience. Because sometimes when stuff happens that we like, it's a little easier to be there. But sometimes when things happen in our life that we don't like, we have a tendency to want to push them away or do something different or space out or just create a whole different or try to manipulate something to be different than how it is. But with mindfulness, we're actually learning to just accept things more as they are, and um, not in a like, "Oh, I just love everything." That's not at all what I'm saying. You might notice, and this moment is really difficult, and you can feel the tension in your stomach, and you can hear the complaining in your head, and, in your thoughts, and you just breathe with that, and you just let yourself feel that. You just let yourself feel that, and it's okay because 'cause there are gonna be moments that are wonderful in our lives, and there are also gonna be moments that aren't so wonderful. So how can we navigate skillfully? When we're more mindful, mindfulness is it's the training of attention. And the meditations that we do are like the gym that you do the meditations in. And these meditations that we do train us, and we do these mindfulness practices. Basically, we can do it with anything that we're doing. So we have formal practices where we might be doing sitting meditation, and I'm sure many of you have seen people closing their eyes, sitting in a chair, or maybe sitting on a cushion. And basically, what we're doing is we're training this attention. So, one of the great benefits of this, and particularly for you all as teenagers, is you learn how to focus. You learn how to direct your attention. And living in this world right now is very challenging because there's so many stimuli, right? You hear your cell phone go beep beep beep, and then you get an email, and then another sound comes on, then you get a text, and another sound comes on, and we're always being torn in many different directions. And it's great that we're excited about doing lots of things in our life, but we really are getting pulled in many directions, and many people tend to multitask, trying to get everything done and to do everything. And we really can't multitask, everyone. I just wanna, there is no such thing. You're just quickly moving from one thing to the other. And we also make twice as many mistakes, when we multitask. So mindfulness is really about being more focused. It's really learning the skill of concentration. And it also, when we're mindful, we're in a part of the brain that is more calming. We're in a part of the brain where we have an ability to self-regulate, an ability to have a sense of what we might be feeling and a sense of what someone else might be feeling so we can be cognizant of others, not just ourselves. And when we're in a more mindful state, we have this calm, we have an expansive view, and we're more grounded. And so we're more, if we're in the present moment, we can be more skilled in making decisions and having follow through. Also, what happens when we're in the present moment, and it influences certain parts of our brain that have something to do with being caring, being loving, being empathetic, having compassion for ourselves and each other. And Lord knows we need that, right? And so that doesn't happen quite often. What happens for people, um, and this is probably how mindfulness was able to take off. What happens for people is we tend to be on automatic pilot a lot and just kind of moving around in our life more like a kite, just kind of moving here and moving there. And automatic pilot, nobody's really home. You're When you're on automatic pilot, you're kind of going from the past into the future, into the past, into the future, catastrophizing something happened before, and then you catastrophize it into the future. And this happens a lot for people. Actually, they've done studies in this country to show that basically half of our country spends a lot of time not really present. And they're in their minds thinking about stuff that's not even really happening. And so mindfulness really brings you back to now and brings you back to this experience, but it doesn't just bring you back to now. It takes our attention to a certain part of our brain. You can't see me right now, but I'm pointing to the front part of our brain, that prefrontal cortex and some other areas, that hippocampus and um, but basically, most people, a long time ago in Neanderthal days, uh, we really needed to have a very amped up sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, and freeze. If there was a rustle in the grass, you wanted to know that because it was going to be a death sentence if you didn't hear that rustle in the grass, right? And so during those times, it was really great that we had this sympathetic reflex of being able to immediately, go to safety or create safety for oneself and recognize threats. But the way our society is now, it's running on that same program, and there's not the balance that there was at one time with the parasympathetic, which is the relaxing part of the nervous system. And so for many people, that sympathetic, that fight, flight, and freeze is on overtime, and it's just running your life. And that's why many of you might even feel anxious and have more anxiety than you would like to experience, or you're afraid to feel the goodness of your life because you're waiting for the next shoe to drop. And there's a lot of that.